Hey, welcome to What a Ghoul Wants. This is part 2 of my most recent collection update. If you are here because you watched part 1, then thank you so much for showing up to part 2. And if you are watching this one first, I will go ahead and link part 1 in the description. I'll probably put a card up here as well if you want to check that out. So it is all horror DVDs, and in part 1, I was going over the movies that I got thrifting. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. I also talk about my new DVD setup in that one. So if you want to hear about that too, go ahead and watch part 1. In this part, I'm going to be going over the second half of this DVD haul, and these are all horror movies that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. It was actually all from one person, and this person, they said that their father-in-law, I believe it was, collected horror movies, and they were trying to get rid of like his whole collection. I'm not sure if he passed away or something like that, but it was all horror DVDs that were all either brand new or really new, kept in really good condition. I really wish I could have gotten more from this person because they had so many, like hundreds of horror movies. I did not have enough money to do that, and there were some that got snagged before I could stake my claim on them, so I was kind of bummed. There were some really, really good ones that I wasn't able to get because of that. So this is about 30 out of the 60 total movies. So I talked about 30 of them in part 1. And then today we're going over the Facebook Marketplace movies. So about 30 movies again. And we're just going to go ahead and get started. And the first movie that I got from this Facebook Marketplace haul is the original Haunting. This is such a good ghost story. This remake of this movie is the Dark Castle one with, I believe is Selma Hayek? Is she in that one? Owen Wilson's in it. Yeah, so this one is very, very different from the 99 movie. It is really gothic and spooky, and a lot of things are implied and not shown. And I really, really love it for that. The performances are great. It's in black and white. I think it was 1963 is when this came out. So you know that this person was a real horror fan when they have this film on DVD. So that's just kind of a taste of what's to come. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. Up next, we've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. This is, of course, the sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a lot campier, a lot goofier than the first one. The person who was selling these had a lot of other films from the franchise, and those are ones that I was kind of confident that I could probably find other places, so I did not snag those, but this one is one of my favorites out of the franchise, and it's just one that I know that I'll want to go back to time and again, so of course I had to grab this one. Next, another absolute classic, the original Wicker Man. I have the remake, the Nicolas Cage remake already, and so I really, really am glad to have the original. Of course, it's pretty much a better movie in every way compared to the remake. They both have their own charms in their own ways, because the remake is one of my favorite bad movies to watch of all time, so I've probably seen the remake more than the original, but obviously this one is just a classic and horror musical. Which sounds kind of weird if you've never seen it before. There's a lot of songs, but it all works in a really, really interesting way. Classic folk horror, so really, really glad to have the Wicker Man. We're just doing banger after banger because next up is Rosemary's Baby. Don't really have to talk much about this one, I don't think. Pretty much everybody knows about it, and, you know, we don't like Roman Polanski, obviously. He's not a good person. So the fact that I got this on Facebook Marketplace, secondhand, no money will be going toward him. So that is ideal, but still a really, really excellent film. That can't be denied. And obviously Mia Farrow absolutely kills it as Rosemary. And just a little side note, for those who watched part 1, you probably saw I was having trouble with my lighting. I really hope it's better on this one. I think I figured it out. But please let me know if you notice in the video if there's anything going on or any tips that you can give me to help improve that. I would really greatly appreciate it. But anyway, going back to the movies, next up we've got The Thing, the John Carpenter remake from the 80s, of course. I actually don't have the original on DVD yet, and I would really like to get that one. But I haven't actually seen that one. This one I really, really love a lot. Obviously, it's known for its amazing practical effects. I love Kurt Russell in it. He is so amazing. And it's just one that I will continue to rewatch, especially in the winter, because it's such a good snowy movie. Some nice cold weather vibes. So yeah, of course I had to grab The Thing. It's one that I was like shocked I didn't have in my collection yet. So from Carpenter to Craven, we have The People Under the Stairs. I just watched this for the first time this year. Oh, it kind of looks like my face is a skull when I hold it right here, the bottom half. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I watched it for the first time last year, and I had heard a lot about it, and it basically lived up to all of the things I'd heard. The performances were really good. I really loved Fool, our protagonist. He was great. And then all of the makeup effects in it were really good. Just a really, really interesting movie. Very different. I love the commentary on like the housing crisis type stuff and landlords. So I'm really interested to see what happens with the remake that we're getting. I don't know if that's this year, maybe next year, something like that. So I'm really, really interested to see how they update the story for the remake. But yeah, very, very solid Wes Craven flick. And from Craven to Romero, we're doing all the major horror directors right now. This is Martin. This is Romero's vampire movie. I have not seen this one, and this is one that's been on my watch list for quite a while. So I'm really interested to see what I think about it. I have a vague idea of what it's about, how Martin may or may not actually be a vampire, I guess. So yeah, it sounds really interesting, and it's a little bit of a departure from his zombie stuff. So I'm really, really, really pumped to watch this one. Next is the original My Bloody Valentine, with this really cool holographic slipcase. This sticker is kind of stuck on there. I'm having a hard time getting it off. If anyone has any tips on how to remove this from a slipcase so that it doesn't leave marks or tear off the parts of the cover, I would really appreciate it, because I really want to get it off there so I can see the full title. It is brand new, still in the plastic. And I believe it's the extended version. Yeah, includes never before seen deleted footage is what it says. So I think that's a lot of the gore that was taken out in the original cut. So I think I've seen it in its entirety, but I would be interested to watch it on here and see if there's anything different from my memory of watching this movie in the past. I do have the remake, which I really don't like nearly as much as this one, so super glad to have this finally on DVD, and one that I'm really, really looking for in VHS format as well. I love the cover on that one. This one is cool, but the cover on the VHS is really, really cool. So hopefully I'll get that one, semi soon. But next up we have another one that's in a very cool slipcase, and that is House of Wax, the 2005 remake. Lots of remakes and originals of classic slashers in this haul that I got. So this is the one, obviously, with Paris Hilton. I don't really know if you can see, I'm trying to make the light catch it, but the slipcase is really cool textured kind of feel to it and look to it. And it's just really, really cool attention to detail that I really love on releases like this. Yeah, this is one that's really fun. It's a good time. I always have fun watching it. Next, we have one that I was really glad that nobody else took before I got to it, and that is May. This is one I've been looking for a really long time, and I'm just so excited to finally have it. It's one that is probably one of my favorites. It might be in my top 10 horror films of all time. It's just such an amazing performance by Angela Bettis, and I just really love her portrayal of May. She is so endearing and just so sympathetic, but she also does these really messed up things throughout the film, and she's just a really strong female horror character. I don't know if you could really call her an anti-hero or an antagonist, I don't know. And that's what I really like about it. It's complicated, it's kind of a gray area. But yeah, Jeremy Sisto is great, Anna Faris is great in it. This is one that I cannot recommend enough if you haven't seen it, or if you've held off watching it for some reason, please watch this movie. It is so good. Going from a really, really good film to one that's not so great. This is actually a double feature, but it is Troll and Troll 2 on one disc. And I just really, really love Troll 2. Again, it's one of my favorite bad movies. Like I was saying about the Wicker Man remake, it's one of my go-tos. It's one of the most famous, like, fun bad movies, you know. I have not seen the original Troll. I know they're not related at all, but now I can watch it because I have this, so maybe I will watch it, but always love going back to Troll 2. Another remake, and it's The Blob from the 80s. Cited as one of the best remakes of all time. And another one with killer practical effects. This one was a part of my 80s horror movie watch challenge, where I watched 30 80s horror movies that I had never seen before. And this was just last year, so I watched this really recently for the first time. Did not disappoint. The blob effects are just incredible. Next is kind of a wild card that I kind of just picked out because it looked interesting and I've heard about it before. I don't really know a lot about it, but I just figured that I probably would never find it anywhere else, so I went ahead and got it, and that is Baby Blood. If anybody knows anything about this film, if you like it, please let me know. It looks like it could be pretty gory, and it's like a pregnancy horror, so I am intrigued to see how it turns out, what it's like. Yeah, I really don't know anything else about it, so please let me know if you've seen it in the comments. And I think I forgot to mention this, but it was $2 a movie for each of these, which was an incredible deal, because like I said, these are all in really, really great condition, so it was a really, really awesome find to find these on Facebook Marketplace. And next one is one that I've been wanting to watch for a long time. I haven't seen it yet, but now that I own it on DVD, I know I will definitely watch it soon. And that is Let's Scare Jessica to Death. This is one that I think I've heard might be able to fit into the kind of like 70s dreamlike, the hazy dreamlike fairy tale horror, which I talked about in my last collection update. But again, if you haven't seen that video I did on movies with that kind of aesthetic, I'll go ahead and link that too if you want to watch that. But this seems like it could fit into it. But yeah, this is one that's been on my radar for a really long time, and one that I really, really need to watch soon, and now I don't have any excuses because I have it on physical media. Next we've got Children of the Corn, the original. This is one that I like pretty well. It's not my favorite Stephen King adaptation, but still really good. A good kind of folk horror vibes to it. I just really, really love Linda Hamilton's performance in it. I think she does a great job, so Children of the Corn. Another Stephen King adjacent film, and that is Creepshow 2. I do have the first Creepshow on DVD already, so very glad to have this one to add to my Creepshow collection, which I think it's just those two. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have not seen this one. I watched the first one, again, for that 80s challenge that I was talking about, and I did really like it. There were some segments that I like more than others, so if you've seen this and you've seen the first one, let me know which one you prefer, or if there's a particular segment in this one that you really like. I would really like to know. Next is another 80s classic and another John Carpenter film. That is the original Fog. Also one that I watched for my 80s challenge. There were a lot of really, really well-known 80s horror movies that I had never seen before, so this is another one that I was very glad to knock out, and one that I think that I'll revisit probably in the fall, because it just has these really good autumnal vibes to it, East Coast kind of you know, misty and all of that. So it's really good to watch when it starts to get cooler outside and those leaves start falling. Another one with really cool practical effects, obviously. And the lighting in this film is just so well used. Using the light through the fog is just really, really effective. So I really appreciate that about it as well. So another really, really good one. Next up is a horror movie that I personally feel like is very underrated and or underseen. And that is Dark Waters from, I think it's 1993. And it is an Italian film, or there are a lot of countries listed on the Wikipedia page attached to it, so I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember where it's actually set, but it is very Argento-esque. I think in my Letterboxd description of the film, I said something like, this is like if Dario Argento and Sam Raimi had a love child and that love child directed this movie. So it has a feel of both of those directors. So if that's something you think you'd be into, I really, really recommend it. It also has Catholic horror and some Lovecraftian stuff going on. I don't want to spoil anything about it, but if that sounds appealing, then please, please, please find this movie and watch it. It is really, really good. Speaking of Argento, I got 2 Argento films from this haul, and the first of which is Deep Red. It is obviously a classic giallo, and one that I do like a lot. The second one is one that I have actually never seen before, but it is his first film, and that is The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. So this one comes in a slipcase, and I believe it's got 2 discs. Yeah, 2-disc special edition Blue Underground. This person had a lot of Blue Underground and a lot of Anchor Bay films. So I was really stoked to see some Italian horror in there, and you know I had to grab it. Speaking of Italian horror, they also had Demons and Demons 2, both of these films. So I have seen Demons, and if any of y'all remember, I watched it for the first time on a live stream. So Lamberto Bava film, really wild, really fun, set in a movie theater. Really liked it. So I haven't seen 2 yet. I think I've heard it's pretty similar to the first one. Really, really good effects, stuff like that. So very stoked to watch this. Next up is one that a lot of people consider an American giallo, and that is Dressed to Kill, the Brian De Palma film. I think I remember liking this one okay. I know that it is a little complicated what it's trying to say about gender and trans people. So if you haven't seen it before, proceed with caution in that regard, because it is kind of problematic. It's obviously very well made. De Palma is a great director. But yeah, that's just something to know going into it if you've never seen it before. Next is Don't Look Now, the Donald Sutherland and who's the wife? Julie Christie. Not me just looking at the cover to see the actor's name. But yeah, this is one I've only seen one time. And unfortunately, the very end was spoiled for me before I saw it. So I don't think it had quite the impact that it has for most people who have seen this film. But yeah, very interesting portrayal of grief. And one that I would definitely like to rewatch and kind of see how I feel about it, knowing what I'm getting into going in. Next up, we've got The Howling, and surprise, The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. I have seen the original, I have not seen the sequel. I'm pretty sure this one is pretty goofy in comparison. Just going off the title, I would assume that, but it's one that I will definitely watch for sure. I did really like the original when I watched it for the first time for my 80s challenge again. I got a lot of films from that challenge in this haul, which is so funny. This is another slipcase. Really love that. And I'll just go ahead and show you close up of the front of this one. I always notice these like very pointy red nails on the cover. Those are just really iconic to me. Yeah. If you've seen this one and you like it or you hate it, let me know. And they had like all of the Howling films, this person who was selling them. I thought about buying the entire franchise, but I decided to hold off. Again, for monetary purposes, but also I just don't know if I'll actually watch all of those because I've heard that a lot of the later sequels are really bad. So maybe if I stumble across those in the wild, I'll end up getting them. But I just decided not to this time. They did have a lot of franchises that they were selling, and there were some that I wasn't able to get any from. So they had a lot of Friday the 13th, a lot of Halloween. But I did manage to get the entire Candyman trilogy. Yes, so it's Candyman, Candyman Farewell to the Flesh, and Day of the Dead. And I have only seen the original. Obviously, an amazing movie, horror classic, Tony Todd, Virginia Madsen, just amazing, amazing film. Great score, too, obviously. So the second one, Day of the Dead, Farewell to the Flesh. This one, don't really know anything about it. I don't know if Tony Todd reprises his role or not. I'm trying to look on here. It looks like he might. And then Day of the Dead. Again, looks like Tony Todd is on the back here, so I'm guessing he's in it. I think I've heard this one is pretty bad. So, yeah, we'll see. But just really glad to have that. I have the whole franchise now, since I have the Recall or whatever on Blu-ray. So super, super glad to have all of those. So I've just got 2 more from this haul, and they are 2 that I absolutely could not say no to when I saw them on this Facebook Marketplace post. And they are The Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. I do already have Army of Darkness, so this will complete my Evil Dead trilogy, and I don't have the remake yet, so I really, really need to add that to my collection as well. So I would like to get that on DVD, and I still haven't seen that yet either. So, as soon as I get that, I will complete the franchise until Evil Dead Rise comes out. And I guess the series too, if you count that. Although that might not be on physical media. I don't know, because that was a Netflix show, right? So, if you know that, let me know. I haven't seen that either. Ash vs. the Evil Dead. So, that is going to conclude this horror movie DVD haul. Again, these were all ones that I got from Facebook Marketplace, and this was part 2 of my collection update. So please check out the first part 1 of the update if you haven't seen that already. And I'm just really having fun finding DVDs out in the wild and online. I'm really sad that I haven't found any VHS recently. Like I said, it's just harder to find. I don't know if people are just really catching on, and it's just kind of blown up the VHS collecting community. So it's a lot harder to find these kinds of movies, just out at thrift stores and stuff like that. Or if they are online, then they're kind of overpriced in my opinion. So I'm still going to keep on the lookout for all types of physical media as far as horror movies go. Please let me know in the comments if you liked this video. Let me know which movies that I got that you like or hate. I'd like to know either way. If there are some that I talked about that I have not seen yet, I'd really like to know your opinions on them. And I would also like to know if you all would like me to do another live archiving of my collection. So I've done a couple of those in the past. It's been a minute since I did a live stream period, but it's also been a minute since I did any sort of update of that archive, which is basically just where I go through my collection and I record in a Google sheet, like an Excel spreadsheet, where I'm just logging all the movies that I have so I can kind of keep track of them, what formats I have them on, just so I can keep track of my collection better, because I'm to the point where I'm going to start buying the same movie over and over again if I'm not careful in the same format, because I'll forget if I have it or not. So if I can just go on my phone and look it up and see, oh, I already have that one, I'm not going to buy it. Or, oh, I need this one. If you would like to see that, please let me know, because I'd definitely be open to doing a live stream of that again. And let me know if there are any movies that you've bought recently that you're really excited about, anything that you think I should check out. I would really love to know. So that's going to conclude my collection update. Thank you all so much for watching. Of course, as always, I really appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we'll talk horror next time.